open gate and just relax. Use the open gate, upstairs and to the right.
Got a call one day from Granada Television in England. They said the Beatles were arriving in 2 hours in New York at Idlewild Airport. Would we like to make a film of them? And I put my hand over the phone and turned to my brother and said, "Oh, the Beatles, are they any good?" Fortunately, he was the one that knew about that kind of music. I knew something of classical music. So he said, "Yeah, they're great. Let's." So we both got on the phone and made a deal and rushed out to the airport. Granada knew very well that this might be a great moment, although no one could be sure whether there'd be 5 people or 5,000 people showing up at the airport. But they were right. This was a historical moment. These guys, the Beatles, they were almost like from another planet. My brother and I started working together in 1960, 4 years before we made the Beatles film. My brother doing the sound and I doing the camera. Along with the Beatles on that same plane were 2 guys from Granada Television who were helping to produce the film. And they had some ideas that to us were kind of archaic. My brother and I have always been averse to interviewing people. We'd rather get information that is spontaneous, that's people experiencing something rather than answering questions. However, we never know for sure, having shot something, whether it's appropriate to use it in the film, so we are open-minded about it. 40 years have gone by now, and it's a good time to look at some of the material that didn't go into the film. In retrospect, some of the stuff that we did of the kids in interview form is fascinating. No question about it.
It's just phenomenal that people would come to see this, and yet they wouldn't come to see the president. And President Johnson came a few days ago, and there's practically nobody here except reporters and photographers. I figure what can be so vital as the Beatles, and I see that there is nothing. It's just that people seeing them. I can't see the music. It's just ridiculous. I'd rather listen to a good jazz show any day, like Mingus or Mulligan, but not the Beatles.
We filmed in the customs building. Yeah. They're like this. Oh, they're so cute. Yeah, I like cool. See, we don't like rock and roll. Yeah. But we think they're just great.
What's your music?
Oh, well, I go to Gutiar. That's classical. It's all classical. But
What is it?
This is Italian arias and things. I just think they're the greatest. It's very interesting to see people go crazy over poor people who are just, there's thousands of more like them. You know, it's just interesting.
What do you think of them?
They're all right. They don't particularly excite us. They're, you know, anyone can rise out of the crowd and do something like that. Just if they've worked at it, I guess. I don't know. Where do you come from?
From New York. You from New York?
No, we want to know, where? What great force is behind you? No force, you're just interested. Well, when we get so that I can play the guitar better and she can sing better, and we're going to be the Beatlettes, okay?
I remember a time when there was a young man by the name of Frank Sinatra who generated this kind of excitement and this kind of a spark, and I don't think it's bad.
They just came out of the car and I ran and everyone tried to stop me, but I just ran around them. Then he came out of the car and...
Who was this?
Ringo. And I went to kiss him and I put my arm around his neck, and as I put him around, he looked at me and he knew I was going to kiss him, so he went, oh, and he put his cheek out.
Why do you think all these kids come out here and yell and scream?
Because they did it for Frank Sinatra and they do it for Elvis Presley.
Yes,
I think it's the way they are. Well, it's part of their age, you know, like getting crushes.
We get it when we get our age.
You know.
And Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley's a ride. Hey, stinks. He's so old anyway. He's ugly. He's old and ugly.
As we looked over the material in the editing process, we decided that we were better off spending more time with the Beatles in their hotel room.
38.
Hello, senior.
I'll just find out. Is there Miss Lillian Lang? Yes. Yes.
Come on in, Lil.
She's just going to the phone.
Come on, Lily, go. Thank you very much.
Can you put it through?
Oh, Lily.
We'll talk to him to find out if it's the right one.
Bring one in front of the mic.
Hello.
In front of the mic. Go and get the others. Sorry about that. Just on the phone one at a time.
I want it on this line if it's Brian Matthew. Is this a call of... Yes, 1264.
I can have her, which is a rule, no rule.
No, look, why don't we take a run?
Oh, look at that. That's good.
They all filming and accepting it.
Yeah. You know, I admire you.
When we got into the hotel room, the light wasn't perfect by professional cinematographer standards, what's called in the business high production value, right? It was exactly the kind of lighting that you find in a real hotel. Well, that was perfect for us. We wouldn't want it to change it in any way. And there was enough light so that we were properly exposed. And nothing about the lighting that would upset them or get them to be any different from what they were.
Overseas will call you back in 15 minutes, Miss Lang.
Hello? Hello, what is this?
Who's are these ciggies we're smoking?
Why is there such a delay?
Anybody got a light?
I do.
Well, this is a man, not a woman. Oh, I see. Yes. Oh, I saw there.
Sure.
Thank you.
What's happening?
15 minutes. They'll call back.
I think we could have a rest from these cameras for 15 minutes.
What camera?
It was at a time, fortunately, that when my brother and I had already perfected the kind of instruments that we needed. A camera that I could hold on my shoulder would be very quiet, and a tape recorder that was so technically advanced that we could shoot without being connected with one another. So we were totally mobile, and there was nothing technically, the equipment we had, that would be obtrusive and stop us from getting behind the scenes and close to people.
Well, we had this big mass press interview with about 100 people there, you know. And then we got out to that, and then we had a Cadillac each. Marvellous cars. You know, in New York, the 3 records, Please Please Me, She Loves You, and I Want to Hold Your Hand, are all #1. All joint, yeah. No, I think I Want to Hold Your Hand has gone 2 million. 2. Yeah, and Please Please Me, no, not Please Please Me, She Loves You, that's done 1 million, I think, almost. Well, we don't know, you know, for definite yet. They'll probably give us the sales figures tomorrow. I hope so. Yeah, it's #1 in Cashbox and Billboard.
Yeah, well, tell them not to forget we're only away for 10 days. And we'll be back, you know, we're thinking of them. Oh, yeah, they all get rumours. Oh, we're coming back to do the film for 7 weeks anyway.
People need to have attention paid, whether they're celebrities or ordinary people. The act of recognition is a very worthwhile one and a good one for people. And knowing in my heart that it was good for them, it'd be good for the people who look at the film, it'd be good for us in making the film, you know, I felt good about it, and I knew, and that helped to establish trust. And it's the way you look at somebody, and it's the empathizing, the love, if you will, that you share with them, that gives you that kind of access. And we like these guys a lot.
Funny mic, though, that's what I say.
Funny mic.
I say it's a funny mic.
If we could get the camera down on this mic, it'd be a real laugh. How about go on? Defy convention. Down on it. Go on. Get down. Cut. Take 29.
30 We want the Beatles! We want the Beatles! We want the Beatles! We want the Beatles! We want the Beatles!
How many of us want to go up? How many we got?
We're going to set up for a couple of lights there, too. The lights in the room are waiting there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You can't get enough people in the room. You have the same right we had yesterday.
Okay. Who made the deal with you? 2 wire services?
That's right.
Oh, I deny. 2 wire services.
Both wire services called and said we want 15 minutes.
All right.
All right?
You
said we will
you're
try and
running
do
the
it.
show. Whatever you decide.
I'm trying to do it.
All right, you run the show. The others object. They'll have to object to their offices. What else can I tell you?
This is for 3, right? Upstairs, 3 Beatles.
3, yeah. One is sick.
Nobody's getting to him.
No, he's in bed. He will not be out of bed until the television show.
On that basis, then I'll back out and leave it to them.
I don't see how you can exclude the Daily News. We have the largest circulation in the country. How can you exclude a paper? It doesn't make sense to me. How can you just make a deal? I didn't make a deal. Well, whoever made it. I made no deal. The AP called up, the UPI called up. We're calling you now. The papers are calling you here after we did. I've been here since before 9 o'clock. So what? Is that what you do? You call and make appointments? Is that what you tried to do? Yes. Oh, you call and make an appointment and get 15 minutes. Everybody can do it. All right, well, we're calling you now, personally. Is the answer yes or no? I can't hear it. Is that the way you work it? How about the roof? And that'll satisfy everybody. You think so? It'd be easier. Get the New York skyline in the background. You get the buildings in the background. All right. Where's... Is the Cornfeld here or somebody, the manager? Well, why not just us walk over?
What's happening?
Well, just go into the company.
Well, we're waiting. How do you get in? Just waiting for it to open.
But the thing is, I think we've got to have no photography in there because we want the writing press to have a chance of signing.
Well, there's another fellow organising better than you.
The guys were always very much themselves. Anytime a professional cameraman would show up, the professional cameraman would say, do this, do that, do this, do that.
Okay, well, we'll just wait till the background clears.
And so for them, being in front of a camera meant performing for it. So that had become their natural way of behaving, so we stuck with it.
Now, we can't see the center fellow up here.
Spread out. Who's that cameraman?
Hey, Beatles. Hey, Beatles. All right. Hey, great.
You got Beatles cut too, huh? How about give him a kiss, little girl? Give him a kiss. Give him a little phone. Can you come down this way, fellas? Bring them around here, fellas. Turn around this way. Do you mind? Yeah, that's... Okay. Oh, well. Ringo, this way. One show. Look around here. Look around here. You better hold on.
George couldn't show up for this press affair because he had a sore throat that day.
Tremendous crowd there. There's the kids. Are we going to get in? You're missing the folk shop. Hey, I'm missing the kids, Gary.
Hello again.
Of course, we wanted very much to get into the Ed Sullivan Show, film the guys in the studio. But try as we did, and even with Paul's help, we couldn't get by the front door because it was union rules that outside cameras couldn't come in without a special permission.
All right, what are you missing? Okay, yeah. The other will be over there. So they're separate. And it'd be best for me if I could put a couple of replacements and separate.
Where did they get the amps from?
Yeah. Somebody Brian. Yeah. Come in. Your film's coming. You rolling out? Right. Bobby. We'll just let him speak to the people. Sure. Bobby. Okay. Can they do it just from the back here? Yeah, back here. Right. Yeah. And then he'll speak to the people. I don't think. Right. Yeah, that's right. You better stay off on the side. Are you back here? Okay.
Of course, we didn't want to miss the Beatles. What we were going to do if we couldn't get in to the Ed Sullivan show and couldn't film them there. And we had mentioned this problem to Murray the K.
Where do you watch the show?
Where do I watch the show? At home.
Any people there?
Just my wife and my in-laws.
No kids.
No kids.
Where's the place we can go and get some kids watching? Or some fans?
Over in New Jersey, Governor Hughes has asked the state legislature for a state income tax.
I think you five fellas finally hit Sullivan pretty good. He's smiling again. He hasn't smiled for 15 years.
He's going to the door now. Shut up, will you? Punch up a bracket.
There you go. That ends it. You can tell who's the boss there. Isn't that in mind?
Where's that coming? Are we going now? Must be Boston out
Ready, fellas? Let's go. We're late.
It's all happening, baby.
Come on, man. Let's go.
What's all the good in this thing?
There's an Allen over there. Come on, let's go, eh? Now, come on. This must be the now. What are you doing? God, smash him. Leave him alone. No, come on now. But we're all late. You're not sure if I gave it. Is it all on? Hey, on now. We bring it back. Aren't you coming? Well, that's all day. I'm going to lend your hand. Then you. No, that's one thing. No.
It occurred to us that if we just walked down the street and walked into the first tenement building, somewhere along the corridor, there'd be a family watching the Beatles on television. And when we heard through one of the doors the Beatles music, we knocked on the door. The mother of the family came to answer it, and we explained that we were making a film of the Beatles. Can we come in and film the family? She said, yeah, come on in. And we had this wonderful private moment with the two girls and the rest of the family watching and responding in a very intimate setting. much more interesting from our point of view than just being stuck with a tripod in a well-lit, but not a real-life kind of situation like The Family.
I'm 23, congratulations.
The Peppermint Lounge was a wonderful opportunity to see the guys off stage having fun. It was such a crowded situation. Everybody wanted to get close to them and dance with them. I had to get the camera in the thick of it all, and because I was able to do that, I was very, very pleased. It's certainly one of my favorite scenes in the whole film.
Hey, Paul. Hi, Paul. Believe me, I didn't see so much, baby. Whoa! I'm not influenced by this American scene, baby, but I just love it. I just love it out here, boy, and I'll dig that hat. Whoa, baby, don't retard that, because I'm not influenced. You know what I mean? My gum, Maria, it's a real gum scene. Hi, Dad. Thank you very much. I'm good, man. Good night now. I wasn't influenced by you. No, really, seriously, thanks very much, man. Oh, okay. Enjoy it. Right. Where's the third boy? Where's the third boy?
Okay, I think it's about time to wrap it up.
Now that I see this little piece that didn't enter the film of Murray the K bidding them farewell at the end of this evening at the Peppermint Lounge, maybe it should have been in the film. Maybe that would have added an extra dimension.
Thank you. What are you doing with this one, Chip? What are you doing in this hotel?
That looks great.
Huh?
Yeah, fabulous.
Does it? Which is the lift? Okay. This place smells of disinfectant. I do like it. I get the impression you're filming. This is true. It could be. I don't believe you, actually, but this man carrying this lethal weapon on his shoulder. Walking the dog. Pretend you can't see him. He'll go away.
It is such a feeling of great exhilaration when you have your camera in your hand, you're looking through that lens, and you know that you're getting something so good for the film. I didn't know at that time, from moment to moment, exactly how it would be used, but I knew I was at the right place, the right time, getting the right thing. This time, Brian Epstein was approached by a TV guy from ABC Television as we were leaving the hotel, and the lighting was totally imperfect by normal professional standards, but for me it was wonderful every once in a while when the silhouette, especially of Brian, would pop out, and you still saw the taxi cab and the city and so forth, but with the outline of his face. Nice.
You're Epstein, right?
Yes.
Jack Powers. Remember I interviewed you at the airport when you came in?
That's right.
I'm the director of news for WABC. When are you going to be available today for maybe a little telephone interview or something like that?
The boys?
You.
4, 5...
Good time.
Someone coming up at 5:30, about 6:30.
About 6:30 this evening?
Just quick.
And I can call you right on the phone. Right up your room?
Yes, I'll ask for you to book.
All right.
Make it 6:45.
6:45.
Good. Very good. Thank you. Here. WABC is the broadcasting station.
Yes. ABC network. It's one of the three
Big ones.
American networks.
I gave an interview to them almost immediately I got into the airport.
They're very hot in New York. It's one of the top 3 stations in town.
That's ridiculous. These radio stations, fantastic.
It's nothing like this in England, is it?
No, you can't be just calling into a program all of a sudden to just have a little conversation.
Because the boys have been sort of speaking on the telephone and listening to it on the set.
Do you have any time for any fun in town? You going out to dinner or anything like that?
No, Capital took the boys out to the 21 room. Other night I didn't go out of time. And last night they went out with Mary the Cave, but I don't know. Well, I had to get up this morning and do things and have an alert mind. I went to bed. I had a good night's sleep last night. I rather wanted to see a show, actually. This one, Hello Dolly.
Yes.
I believe it's very good.
Yeah.
Well, I think a good documentary is an ode to reality, and it gives us our actors, if you will. It gives us the scenes. It gives us everything that we need.
I'm glad we came by train though.
Oh yeah, I think you can see some of the country anyway.
Yeah, we should have come down by plane, but all the snow and that. But what happened on Thursday? Do you think there will be a plane on Thursday?
Oh yeah, sure.
Because we got to go to Miami, don't we? It's too far by train.
Yeah, no doubt.
This will be over by.
Oh, this will be over by, yeah.
Miami is great. It's a good town. They have a lot of, at least it's warm.
Yeah.
Usually no trouble taking off.
Yeah. There's no, well that's a good thing. Come on down.
It's on in Washington.
Yeah.
I spoke to Washington.
Down. Yeah. Snowstorm.
It's another one of those things that supports my view that just keep an open eye and things will happen on their own. Just from out of nowhere, this little kid comes up and engages herself relentlessly and happily with Ringo.
Boy, is my mother's sister was here. Oh boy, she's like a good cop. Daddy, how you pronounce the name? Cop. Oh, Rossi and Presley.
Curiosity, yeah.
She knows all the big words.
You can't say them.
What's it mean?
That means she's nosy.
We took advantage of that moment that sprung up, and it shows too a very paternal, loving aspect of Ringo, that he didn't busy himself with something else. He took care of this little kid who was so curious and so happy and so proud to be with one of these great stars.
Oh, you want to see the other two?
Remember you have to come down Richmond.
Yeah, next time we'll come down. We're going to let her introduce. I'm going to introduce her to Paul and John. She missed them.
When did you first hear the Beatles?
On the radio, and then I went. Yeah.
Why? Yeah, that's right. Why?
Can I ask you, who writes your music?
Who writes it?
He does.
John and I.
Sit down.
Uncle Paul, did you
I'll give it to him. She was just acting.
She plays Tiffany. You don't know music if you don't listen to them.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
I will.
In so much of what we see, we're constantly reminded that they hadn't, and I don't think they ever would be or were spoiled by this celebrity. And that was a wonderful element in their charm and their appeal.
Okay, off the fella with the camera again. He's been bugging that scene, hasn't he, man? Hey, boys?
I've seen that rubber thing looking at me, man. I'm getting, that's a valley symbol, man. Beautiful.
There was a point where the Beatles were interested in how we were doing things, and so they got into all kinds of questions about the technology. Paul and George especially were fascinated by the way we were making the film, and the fact that we could be so quick on our feet. The technology had advanced more with us than in crews which had outdated equipment by our standards. Normal television crews, camera was fastened to a tripod and so forth. But they took particular relish in noticing that the watch that I was wearing was an electronic watch, and that the camera was so fixed that there was a watch just like that in the camera, another one in the tape recorder, and it's that device in both instruments that kept the two instruments locked in synchronization.
The other movie cameras, look, he's separate them in. Okay, they're in perfect synchronization. Are they? Yeah, because they've got little. They're all good friends. That's great. On this camera. Yeah, and he's got a watch too, which is exactly the same thing. See it? Oh yeah. Well, this is David. Excuse me now. What?
And then my brother set it up so that they could hear their own voices, and they got a great kick out of that.
Well, every time I see him, he's just sort of crawling around the floor like a joke. Well, what are you getting through there? What's coming through here? You can't find it. Wow, it's great. It's great. It's great. It's Africa. It's delayed, isn't it?
206. You get it?
It's great. Have you heard it? What's on? Talk. Talk. Who's talking? Hey, you can hear your own voice. I'm also late, hello. How you doing, Ringo? I'm alright. Where did you get that at? Hey, I got it off again. Where'd you get yours? I'm not telling. It's in sync. It's great. It's right there. Hello. Hello. Who's got a ciggy? I have. Do you want one? Yeah. Can I have one? You can't have one. You're on there. I need to. You're on tape. Well, it doesn't matter. Okay. It's great. Say something. Hello? 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 Okay. Hey? Hello? It comes here later. Yeah? Now it's not. Now it's direct. What happens to the film when it comes out later? What's that? How is it in sync when it comes out later here? My arm in the way. Oh, I see. That's it, because you're hearing it. Not now. Are you filming now? Yeah. My arm is in the way. Without looking. He made that camera look good. Yeah. Made it himself. You're going to have a great eye at 10,000 dollars to make. You know, you want to hear about... Oh, God, that's how we go. It's killing though. You want to hear about how he's done out. Now it's direct, John. Congratulations. Direct? Now it's direct. Yeah, it's, you don't like it. Oh, I don't like it direct. Get it on the... All right. Get it up. Hello. Hello, John. How are you doing? I'm all right, thanks. How's yourself? How's your dad? Well, ooh. Oh. Sounds like what? What? Today press. What's that? Hello? Is this publicity about this equipment? Yeah.
Hey, did you ever hear John on a rocket ship?
I love the comment, which I remember even now. I think it was John that said that Al built a camera with the help of engineers.
He made it himself, you know. With his own engineer.
I love that one.
Wild sound, the train station. Please see any wild sound in the train station.
There may be a controversy over the Beatles' apparel and their hairdos, but there's no debate about one thing: they sure have got talent.
I had such a hard time coming into the stadium. I wasn't allowed to be there in the first place. And so when I finally got to be seated like anyone else, I noticed that my camera had been running all this time by mistake. Someone had hit the button. So I quickly changed the magazine and pulled the camera up to my shoulder and got this wonderful full scene of what looked like a boxing ring, right, with a wonderful shower of light coming down on the Beatles. And because I had a lens that could vary my closeness to them, I could zoom in and vary the shot. I turned around at one moment and there was Brian Epstein. Wonderful, I got him too. So I was, in a way, I was in more places and better places than people who could just freely move around. Ambassador's Ball. If you look closely at the faces, you'll see that they were uncomfortable. Why are we here? I think that one reason that the scene at the ambassador's house didn't make it was, I think, there wasn't much of a story there. And yet, looking back, I mean, now, in any kind of different moment with the Beatles is worth being in on.
Go ahead.
play in the middle of a wrestling ring. We didn't know what to do. Got some slump around.
Something I noticed they were having a lot of fun on it. Well, are you used to that?
At the embassy. What do you have to say about that? Really? No, I'm helping you.
Now they're heading back to New York before they go to Miami, and they could relax more at this point. I guess word had come back that there were lots and lots of people watching that Ed Sullivan show. 72 million, I think.
I know, okay. We're all drug addicts.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm one.
You got him? Turn around, we'll show you to the British public. Come on,
I'm turned around.
Oh, yeah, that's his bird. Now, here we have a drug addict. We can't get it off. Get off there, whatever, off the line. What do you have to say? I thought it was a Susan. Now, tell me, how long have you been on the drugs?
Well, let's see, how old am I?
I don't know. Let's see how many rings you got on your head.
No, you better see how many rings I've got on my finger.
Go on, man, how long have you been on the drugs?
Yes,
that's a lot. Okay, that's all enough about drugs then. Let's talk about Woodbines. The Woodbine is the greatest little cigarette. For why? Because it says so on the packet. Woodbine, check it. Who's there? I thought your name was Murray. Murray John. Murray John.
Of course, there's so many times in the outtakes when you see my brother, because I have to turn the camera on to him at the end of the shot in order to get the synchronization.
242, Roger. Okay.
But you see me too because you're looking through my eye when you're looking at the screen.
Wait, let's you haven't had a John, you haven't had a slate yet. A slate? Yeah. Putting people at work.
Knock the thing and shout the number.
Okay, what's the number? 244. 244. Roger. Out. John it is. 251. Roger. That's the word. Roger. 25. Wait it. I slate you anymore, is it? Oh, what are you into? 247! Roger. Bingo! You won a major prize!
It was really a very equal kind of contribution because it took the two of us to produce it. That is to maintain a relationship with the subjects and to ascertain what was coming up next and to decide where to be when. Before going to Miami, my brother took off for England because it was decided that it would be best for my brother to make a deal with Granada Television so that we'd be able to make our own film. And I continued with the Beatles in Miami with another person to take sound.
Roger.
Mr. Starr, yes, telegram for you.
Oh, thank you very much.
I'm in the Deauville Hotel.
Everything you got is tagged.
Well, buddy,
John was off with his wife at that time. The three remaining Beatles, they were so entertaining that I didn't realize until later on, oh, where's John?
Big buddy.
Mashed potatoes, yeah.
Cook M1 scene one. I still haven't packed all my stuff yet.
George, I've done a remarkable night. There's a picture of you. That's it.
I saw your girl the other day. You know what?
What?
The wind was blowing.
Blowing my girl?
Right, that one. Blowing her hair all over the face.
She hasn't got a face.
Not only that, it was blowing her hair all over the road. Sometimes I get a little worried. Now a word from Coca-Cola. What's the word, Paul? Coca. I like it. That was funny. Shut up, cop.
I think it is an exciting moment that people hold on to dearly. Those first moments in the career of celebrities, and especially the Beatles. They were just kids, and there has to be some kind of magic quality that a film could capture that could help to give us an understanding of how they were able to take over a whole nation.
Yeah, on the other side. Then in. Reach out to my brother! Yeah! Come on.
Look up.
For myself, I went a long way from knowing nothing of the Beatles to not only listening to their music, watching them, but helping to create a lasting record of exactly who they were at that time in history.
Wild sound for crowd at different modulation. This is to accompany shot 7.
I guess you have to feel some kind of sadness at the end of the film when they return to England and you realize that it's been the end of a certain chapter. A chapter in their lives as well as a chapter in the lives of people who have become engaged with them. Now they're fully into their career and they've taken another country in their hands. This film began a new genre of documentary filmmaking by the techniques that allowed us to get so intimate with the people that we're filming. I've been told that it's no longer possible to get into situations that are very intimate with a camera, that people are so savvy to a camera that they become too camera conscious. I don't agree, at least it hasn't been my experience. It depends on who's trying to get the access and how they approach people, how they look at people. If they, as I do, empathize with them, feel for them, and want to represent them truthfully. People love that, and they always will. That doesn't change. I even can say that in looking at the film each time, I'm inspired to go on to do another one.